Big news. Big news. Zach Edey, he's back. Cart, the best player in college basketball, the national player of the year, the tallest good player or the best tall player. Is he tall or is he just good? I don't know. I still don't know. He's back. That's all I know. And I mean, that's huge news. It just simply is. Purdue is likely the favorite in the Big Ten now, maybe 1A, 1B with your Michigan State Spartans. And they got a chance at redemption, my friend. 16 seed loss, best player back. They really returned pretty much everybody important. Lawyer and Smith are going to go from freshmen to sophomores. They got some good freshmen coming in that provide some athleticism. What do you make of Edey's decision, first of all? And then what do you make of Purdue?
Yeah, one, I think it's a huge win for Purdue because I think, at least from what I heard, this decision was like literally down to the minute 50-50. Like Edey was looking for any type of promise that he could get a multi-year contract, like as a second round draft pick, and he would be gone. So, because he didn't get that, he came back to Purdue. Anytime you return a national player of the year, I feel like people are doing way too many think pieces on this. Like they're returning the national player of the year. No one could stop Zach Edey last year, and they bring that back. Now the conference might be better as a whole, the Big Ten, but like for me, I think people are just a little bit too down on Purdue for my liking. For some reasons that you pointed out, Greg. Like I think that Braden Smith and Lawyer are going to take a jump. Like those are two freshmen that you threw into the fire, played them all along. I think Lawyer had an injury towards the end of the year that really hindered him and his shot and the abilities that he had. But when healthy, like Fletcher Lawyer was low-key a killer towards the start of the year and was torching teams. And I think the injury hampered him a bit. He might have hit the freshman wall. For everything that people said about Braden Smith not being able to handle pressure, and yes, that was the case. Yes, he did have some turnover issues at times, especially in that game they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. But at the same time, this was a freshman point guard who was steady. And any team, I think, would take that out of their true freshman point guard that you're playing 30 minutes a game and putting out there. So I'm expecting guys like that to take jumps. And then you add the athleticism, like you pointed out, in Colvin, the freshman coming in, who is a freak athlete. They still return guys such as Morton and Gillis first. I mean, this team, they have the redemption factor. They're still a really good team. They were a top 10 team in the country last year, top 5 in the country last year. They'll be top 5 in the country this year. I just feel like people are looking way too much into like the hate on Purdue. And look, I get it. I was leading the charge of the Boilermakers need to relax. Like outside of Mackey, they're not what you think they are. They can't handle pressure. Those are fixable things to me. Handling pressure is very fixable to me. And with the additions they have and the pieces they have coming back, like I still think this Purdue team, like you said, is 1A, 1B in the Big Ten and a top 5 preseason team.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of scared how much I'm going to like Purdue next year. I'm going to do a total heel turn here, and I think people are going to accuse me of being a bandwagon fan or whatever you want to call it. How could I hate Purdue so much last year? How can I love them so much next year? But my biggest point, Cart, last year's Purdue team is not next year's Purdue team at all. And let's also be clear, despite them losing to a 16 seed, despite them losing earlier in the tournament than anyone expected and us sort of predicting it, this team won 29 games, lost 5 before that NCAA tournament game, and won 2 Big Ten titles running away with it. Like they won the Big Ten tournament title, it wasn't close. They won the Big Ten regular season, it wasn't close. And they bring everybody back. Like
right. And they beat some good teams too.
And it's not, they're not bringing guys back and they're going to stay the same is my point. Like, and even if they did stay the same, they'd be a top 3 team in the sport. But they're probably a lot better than that because freshman guards are not sophomore guards. Like that's just a fact. Like the biggest stage of development in college basketball is when a guy who played a lot of good minutes as a freshman takes a leap in his sophomore year when he's more comfortable. He grows up a little bit. I firmly expect Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer to do that. You talked about Lawyer being bad at the end of the year. He was. I think it was 100% the wall. Like beginning of the season, him was a killer. Last month of the season, he was almost unplayable. They just need to get a full season out of who he was the first couple months. And it's not like they were playing nobodies. Like Duke was blowing out Blue Bloods in the non-conference last year in Fletcher Lawyer's second week in a Purdue uniform. So I see a lot of similarities here, man. Like I'm going to fall for the trope probably, and I'm going to be one of the loudest pushers of this narrative. But like, shit, man, the last time a 1 seed lost to a 16 seed, what happened? Their best 3 players came back. Their all Caucasian backcourt came back, and their coach's narrative went from he can't win in the tournament to that's a really great team that got redemption. Like, I think Zach Edey's better than anybody Virginia had. I think Zach Edey's clearly going to win a National Player of the Year again. I think Zach Edey has a chance individually to go down as the best Big Ten basketball player we've ever seen. Straight up. If he posts the same numbers or better that he did last year, wins 2 National Player of the Years, and they have a little NCAA tournament success, like, I'm all in. I think this is a team that's a step ahead, maybe a half step ahead of Michigan State right now. And it's not solely because of Edey, but it's because I think Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer are going to be a lot better. And like you said, I like the freshman wing Colvin. Like, they had no athleticism on the wing. No offense to Ethan Morton, who's going to be a really good defender this year. Like, to be able to throw a dude who can fly around a little bit in with those guards and with Edey, like, I think they've answered a lot of their questions from last year. And I expect them to be better, man. Like, how many games would you think Purdue's going to lose next year? If they lost 5 in the regular season last year and they bring all their big pieces back and add Colvin, like, what's the over under on Purdue losses next year?
I mean, the Big Ten will be better, but at the same time, like, it's still like at most, I guess 8.
Also, okay, so the Big Ten, when we say the Big Ten's better, we really just mean like Michigan State's a contender again. That's pretty much it. Like,
no. I'm a little bit higher on some of these other Big Ten teams than maybe others are. I think Wisconsin will be better than they were last year.
But I think there's a balance though, because Iowa and Michigan are getting way worse. And like, not that those were good teams, but like Iowa and Michigan are getting way worse. Indiana's way worse. We think Ohio State and Wisconsin are better, but like, it's kind of the same dudes on those teams, minus Bryce Sensabaugh. Like,
you said Bryce Sensabaugh is a loser.
He is. I think Ohio State's going to take a jump, but I think that's like, I just want to be careful with like the Big Ten's way better. I think the Big Ten has 2 contenders instead of 1. That's the narrative. I don't think like the middle of the pack of the Big Ten, like, is taking a leap at all. Illinois is going to be the same.
We'll put it like this. How many tournament teams did the Big Ten have last year? NCAA tournament teams.
Wasn't it 7? They got a good number, I think.
Did they have 7? No, it was Purdue. Oh, well, Purdue, Northwestern, Penn State, Michigan State. What am I missing?
Indiana, Iowa.
Indiana, Iowa.
Illinois.
Okay, 7.
I think it might have been 8. Hold on.
Am I missing one?
Purdue, Indiana, Northwestern, Michigan State, Maryland, Illinois, Iowa, Penn State. They got 8.
They have 8.
And then okay. Rutgers was like the first team out. So they almost had 9. Like, I don't know. I think last year it was just
Country was down last year too, though.
Yeah. Is the Country back?
I think the Country's back.
Country might be back, except Kentucky's so bad. It's a weird year.
Yeah, I get that. I get that, like, the world's crumbling around Kentucky, but like also like they got like some nasty freshmen coming in. I'm just saying. Obviously, they got to replace a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I still think that the Big Ten, like you said, is upgraded to the Schmedium 10. Like, they will be better.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, I think it's very easy to doubt this Purdue team because of what they did last year as far as losing in the first round to a 16 seed. Obviously, it's only happened. That was the second time ever that it's happened. Like, that's insane that it happened. But at the same time, like you said, this was a good Purdue team. Won the Big Ten regular season. Won the Big Ten tournament. Like, they made it happen. They did that. They lost 5 games. That's a real thing. That's not a feat that should be overlooked. And they're bringing back guys that are going to get better. It's funny to me, like, Andre Curbelo, just for an example, has a good freshman year, and everyone's looking for the sophomore leap. Like, there's always that guy that's looking to make a sophomore leap, and no one has mentioned any of the Purdue guys making sophomore leaps, which is crazy to me because they played so much basketball. And honestly, they played good basketball last
On
year for
a team
freshmen.
that won 29 games and 2
Right.
championships.
Right. Like that's I don't know. It's
Or it's
crazy to
not even
me.
that. Like, it would be one thing to me. I genuinely don't think you can downplay this. Like, if they were a 29 win team with 2 championships that like lost in the Elite Eight, maybe, or lost in the Final Four, then like, okay, maybe they're a little complacent. Maybe they're reading their news clippings, like all of that, right?
They would also be title favorites this year if that happened.
Right. But that, like, I just think the NCAA tournament's so fluky. It was a horrible loss. I was the loudest person about how horrible of a loss that was. I also said at the time, any talk of firing Matt Painter is ridiculous. And this is likely to change very quickly. Like, I just think I don't understand at all why anyone would write this team off. I think this is an absolute clear top 3 team in the country. Edey's going to run away with National Player of the Year. And if their biggest question is still if Braden Smith can beat a press, like, I think Braden Smith is going to beat presses this year. I really do. So we'll see. I don't know, man. 1A, 1B for Michigan State and Purdue, or how do you decipher between those two? You're tweeting right now while we're recording this. You're tweeting that people shouldn't write off Purdue.
Yeah, because I'm seeing way too much writing off of Purdue. I still think, in my eyes, Purdue is 1A and Michigan State's 1B.
That's where I'm at. Why are we agreeing so much? I've been agreeing with everybody ever since I had a child.
Well, it might be different reasonings, but like, to me, that's the Big Ten regular season champions and the Big Ten tournament champions, and they're bringing back their whole team, and guys are going to get better. So until someone knocks them off that mountain, they get the 1A title, and I'll take the 1B title, and I'm ready for that battle this year. Like, that's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. No one can take the throne until Logan Roy dies, right? A little Succession reference for you.
Yeah, please don't ruin it for me. I've been avoiding it. I've muted every single Succession word until I catch up.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to finish, for the record. You should catch up quickly. All right. Purdue, hope you rock with us this year. I know we had a divisive relationship at the end of last season. I'm all in. I'm very all in. I think Purdue makes a Final Four this season. I'll say it right now on June 1st, 2023.
Your first photos with your daughter are in a Purdue shirt.
Yeah, I'm in. Well, I mean, that was a blatant attempt for me to try to have her be the female Zach Edey. Like, I was hoping a little magic would wear off and she might pop out the womb, like, I don't know, like 11 inches or not 11 inches, sorry, 31 inches and like 11 pounds. That was my goal, but didn't happen. She's just average.
She's not average. Don't you ever say that about my sweet baby Murph.
I'm tired. I need a nap. All right, Purdue, congrats. Congrats to all these teams that got everybody back. Yay.